Hey guys, this is Craig from Penguin's Cocker Tech again, and today, which is actually the same day I shot the last video, I'll be covering timing in Autococker, which is a very handy skill because, you know, little stuff's always happening with these things, and you got to be able to keep up with them. So, where do you start when timing in Autococker? What's the point of timing? Well, little Jimmy, the point of timing here is to make sure that everything happens in the correct sequence, and that would be that the gun fires and the gun recocks. Now the fish is recocking, and it's ready to fire again. So, yeah. Alright, the first step of timing here is to adjust the back block. Alright, now what you're looking for here is that when the marker is aired up, you want the back block to be just barely at the body. And let me be a little bit more clear on that. You want it such that the back block, you can just barely see right through it. Sort of like that. Now this might be a little bit far away. Alright, and you want to be able to slip a piece of paper in between the back block and the body. Because what's happening here is you want your ram, it has bumpers inside it, that's what's supposed to be stopping the forward and backward travel of your back block. You don't want to smack it into the body, you're going to smack it into the body, it's going to wear out stuff. Your anode is going to look crappy and you just might break something. So, as you can see here, there's a very small space in between the back block and the body of the gun. So that's in good timing. And that ensures that the bolt will be fully forward when the bolt is closed, so that all the air goes into the barrel and it will prevent blowback and other bad things like that. Alright, so once you got your back block in time here, you'll put your cocking rod back in. And you're going to put your bolt back in. So once you got the back block timed, the next thing you're going to want to do is time the cocking rod. And this is kind of complicated to explain. The cocking rod here it both recocks the hammer so that the marker can shoot again, but the other thing it does is it makes sure that the bolt is open the correct length in the breech so that a ball can properly feed in without getting chopped when at any point and so such and so such. So let me try and go into detail here. What you're ideally looking for is looking down the feed tube. You should be able, and you can't really see it too well there, so I'll explain it. You want the bolt to line up with the wall of the feed neck when the marker cocks. Cocks. Right there, you can hear it click. And right there. So now when you look down the feed tube, let's see if I can get some light in here. Which I can't. You want to be able to look down the feed tube and not see the bolt. And you want to be able to reach in and you just might feel the bolt if you reach your finger back just a little bit. So that'll ensure that every time the marker cocks, that the bolt is back far enough for a paintball to securely load into the breech. And having the cocking rod out of time can cause all sorts of chopping problems, just bad stuff in general. And you don't want that, especially in an E-bladed autococker, because the ball might go ahead and drop in and the eye might read it, but then it'll get chopped because the bolt's not where the eye is thinking it's supposed to be. So if you were to need to adjust the bolt or the cocking rod, or hence the bolt, you would want to take the cocking rod out, and take the appropriate size Allen wrench, which, let me guess here, flip it out there, is a 3/32 inch Allen wrench. And then you'll probably want to grab an adjustable wrench like this and take the head of the cocking rod. So once you got it securely in there. Alright, so now you got your cocking rod. If you want your bolt to come further back in the breech and hence clear it more, maybe it might not even be letting a ball load in, what you want to do is take your 3/32 Allen wrench here and you'd spin around and loosen up this. There's a small locking nut screw in the back of this cocking rod. So you're going to spin that around, and then you'll want to rotate the head backwards in a counterclockwise manner. In fact, I'll do that for you right now. So you're going to loosen up the set screw, and then you'll be able to turn the head back. Alright, and by doing that, the bolt will come further back and clear the breech more. And you want the wall of the bolt to line up with the wall of the breech. So once you're all done adjusting it, you're going to test it here. You tighten it back up, and you want to make this really snug. Don't strip anything, but make it really snug. Because if your cocking rod gets stuck in there and you can't get it out by turning the head, you're going to run into problems because the head will come off and it'll leave the actual rod inside the hammer. And it's stuck in there. And it's really hard to get circular things out. So you're going to put your cocking rod back in, screw it into the hammer in there. Alright, and then you're going to test the bolt for clearance, and you probably can't see it because it's a black bolt. I can barely see it. And so check for clearance, and you want, again, the bolt to line up with the back wall of the breech. So, alright. Now that you have the bolt done, and the cocking rod done, which is the bolt, and you've done the back block, now you're going to move on to the hammer lug and the three-way timing. So an important note here about setting the hammer lug: if your mechanical frame has a little bit of play in the safety, which some do, some don't, this one does. That was the safety on. That's not very safe, is it? So you're going to want to set the trigger pull so that it releases your hammer here behind the safety. Alright? So for the majority of bolts, they don't have a hole drilled for adjusting the hammer, so you got to take the bolt out, put it off to the side in the safe place, and pull out your 1/8 inch Allen wrench. There it is. Now to lower the hammer lug, which will make the pull, it'll release the hammer further back in the pull. You will want to lower your hammer lug, which will make a release later in the pull, and in this case behind the safety. So you want to turn it clockwise to lower it, or counterclockwise to raise it. So give that a couple turns there. It'll be a little bit difficult if you have a set screw in your hammer like this one does, and give it a try. Put the safety on, and now at the very back of the safety play there in the trigger, it can still shoot, so I'm going to give it another quarter turn here and test it out. Alright, I don't want to get shot in the eye today. So once you got that timed, you're going to put your bolt back in. You cover 3 of the 4 aspects of timing.